everybody, and welcome in to Last Call. I'm Nathaniel Finch here with Jake Kiefer, and we've got a loaded show for you today. We're going to start by talking about UIndy and their win against Southwest Baptist. We'll tell you how they're going to play against McKendree next week. Then we'll talk about some D1 games, how the weekend went for Indiana schools and the rest of Division I, including a couple powerhouses at the top. That's when we'll talk about the Colts after that and the rest of the NFL before we talk about Monday Night Football. A loaded show today. Let's get right into it. How about UIndy? They went and hosted homecoming. Southwest Baptist came to town, won 44-17, and boy, it was a great game for Greyhounds fans, including Toriano Clinton, who broke two more records career-wise. He broke the record. He's now first place for all-time total touchdowns as a Greyhound, and he's also first place with rushing touchdowns. Had a 3-touchdown day, 2 on the ground, 1 through the air. Just feasted against Southwest Baptist yet again.
Yeah, all hail King Tory. You know, he's had a very great career, and he might be, I venture a guess here, he's probably the best running back to ever come through this program, and he's just continued to build upon what's been a great career and a great start to the year. I mean, I could see him adding maybe even 1,000 more rushing yards in these next few games.
It's wild. He had 207 over the weekend against Southwest Baptist, and it was just a very impressive day from him, and it's crazy how good he is. There's just no way to stop him. Everyone knows it's going to go to Toriano.
You just can't stop it.
No.
You can't, no matter what, you can scheme for him all you want, but he's going to find a hole and he's going to break off some big runs. And I think that has a lot to do with the Hogs in front, you know. Yeah. He's always given love to his offensive line, and they've always blocked their butts off for him. And I think he's appreciated that and realized that, and that's definitely a big part of his success here at UIndy.
UIndy only had 94 passing yards from Connor Kennett, and that's just because they didn't need to throw the ball. They had a guy like Toriano slicing him up, and what was crazy was that they would turn around and hand the ball off to Lenny Bennett after that, the backup running back. He would come in and have not the same success, but still plenty of success in his own right. They would get these second, third, fourth string running backs in and just doing just as good. So testament to what you said there with those Hogs up front. And you mentioned how they're blocking their butt off. That's the exact quote that Connor Kennett used in the post-game show when we had him interviewed for the UIndy TV broadcast, but it was one impressive day. Yeah,
373 rush yards as a team. You know, you said whoever stepped in to that running back spot just really had a day, and I think it was great to see. The defense played very well as well. A safety, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks. Also, they held Southwest Baptist to 66 rush yards. I mean, that's got to be some type of a very driving point of practice for Coach Keevers for them to really hammer that home during the game.
And they were banged up in the secondary, missing 2 starters from the beginning of the year, and they just seemed to be able to come in and have some great plays in that secondary. I thought it would be more of a struggle. I thought Cooper Collis would have well more than what he did in terms of passing. He still had 241 yards, but just 1 touchdown. They really seemed to bottle them up pretty well, especially because of that negative game script where Southwest Baptist was throwing from the get-go, and UIndy was able to do their part on defense, got some key turnovers. One player who had a great turnover was Carice Crawford, and he had an interception late in the game, went running down the sideline trying to score, even though the game was well out of hand. He was just trying to get his hand in the pot as well, get some scoring. And he kind of landed awkwardly on the tackle, got hurt, and was helped off the field. All signs point to that he's doing all right, so it doesn't seem like it seems like he avoided a major injury. Of course, we can't, I don't know that for sure, but just talking to some people after the game seems like he was doing pretty well. He was able to walk around on his own power that night, too.
Yeah, that's great. I just think it was an excellent performance all around for the entire team, and it's a good segue into the McKendree preview. They're playing McKendree next week, of course, at McKendree. McKendree's no slouch themselves. They come into this game 4-1. Their only loss coming to Delta State, who was ranked at the time 58-34. So kind of a blowout, but not really if you look at the stats. I mean, you know, they actually, though that was their loss, pardon, they actually are coming off a win against 1-4 William Jewell, who is obviously not the strongest team in the GLVC, but still put up some points as well. I mean, Turner Poland is a great quarterback. I know sitting in the booth last year with you calling their games, we saw a lot of Turner Poland and a lot of what he can do, not only with his arm, but with his legs. He's mobile back there, kind of sneaky athletic, but you know, he's a good quarterback.
And Turner Poland is top 3 in the nation in passing yards right now. So for UIndy, you really want to hope that you can get some of those starters back in your secondary. They've got the great safety tandem, but cornerback's just injured. And, of course, they played very well over the weekend. But you don't want to count on that to be a week in, week out thing. So you want to get your starters back, and we'll see if they can have any sort of sway against Turner Poland, keeping him from doing what he's been able to do so well this year.
Yeah, the scary thing about Poland to me is he threw for 343 yards. You know, that's a respectable number. That's a good number. 25 for 35, so only 10 incompletions, but 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So obviously they have the receiving core that's capable of, you know, creating some space, getting away from the coverage, breaking past them, or is just physical enough to go up and grab some balls.
I will say, though, McKendree's defense, not a top-level unit, especially compared to the Greyhounds, who have such a lethal front seven. So it's kind of an opportunity for UIndy. Maybe try to pick on that defense. We might see a very high-scoring game in McKendree.
Yeah, McKendree's defense gave up 225 rush yards last game to William Jewell, and it's not not the strongest William Jewell team. I would say that running the ball is probably their strong suit, but you know, Toriano Clinton's capable of breaking off 200 yards in the first half. Heck, we've seen him do it in the first quarter, even, or close to it in the first quarter. So things bode well for the Hounds. That's what I'm seeing. They also gave up 288 pass yards as well. So, you know, we could see Connor Kinnett really throw some deep strikes and connect and get some nice strikes thrown to his receivers.
The Greyhounds went into the weekend ranked 14th in the nation, still waiting to see what that final ranking is, if they're going to move up.
I believe it actually just came out. They are now the number 8 team in the nation.
Number 8.
So top 10 for the Hounds. Let's see if they can build on that and maybe even enter the top 5. Who knows?
Yeah, and of course a big loss in the GLVC can definitely vault you back down that list. But the Greyhounds are definitely going to be pretty heavy favorites in most of these games. So you got to imagine they can continue to climb and climb and climb, and we might be seeing a playoff game here at Key Stadium.
I mean, they were preseason picked by far to win the GLVC. You know, the departure of Lindenwood to D1 really helps with that. But all signs are pointing to at least a first-place finish in the GLVC. Of course, you know, dropping a game, like you said, could really affect that and maybe even boot them out of the top 25.
It's a lot of fun to see a team with that ranking next to it, especially a single-digit ranking. So excited to see how the Greyhounds can do moving forward. They're going to play in Michigan at Saginaw Valley State the week after, and then we got them at home. You can watch that home game here on UIndy TV as well. So a lot of good games here in the near future for UIndy, including that McKendree game. Let's move on. We'll just go ahead and step aside when we come back. Division I college football, including the Purdue and IU games. That's next here on Last Call.